Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Claire and this is going to be a short, just kind of chatty updating video because I accidentally didn't post for a little bit. Now I'm working on a video right now, so that video about the 5th season book review should be up already, but this is just a little hey, this is what I've been up to, this is where I've disappeared. And part of that, just to jump straight into it, part of that is because my work started picking up a little bit. I draw caricatures, that's my day job, and there's been a lot of after proms the last few weeks. But frankly, and I try to talk about this in a live that I'm going to delete because it clearly didn't work. Granted, my house does not have great service. Just where I am, I'm surrounded by a bunch of trees, so I generally have bad service. And then I tried to do this live during a tornado warning, so I'm pretty sure that probably made it even worse. But all I was trying to do was update you guys as quickly as possible. Also, what I've been doing, what's been kind of taking up my life, my headspace, a little bit away from YouTube. And so much of that was Taylor Swift's new album, The Tortured Poets Department. The Taylor Swift's music I love, I really love, and there's a lot that I could do without. I'm not into 1989. I really don't know that much of her music pre-folklore. And so for that reason, I wouldn't call myself a Swiftie, but Folklore, Evermore, some of my favorite albums of all time. I was so about Midnights, but Tortured Poets Department, it's been out for a minute. It blew up, everybody was talking about it, especially if you're into Taylor Swift. I was really excited about it because it looked like kind of a sexier, moodier, folklore. And it kind of is. Well, part of it was a secret double album, so there was just so much music to take in, and then I was just really absorbed in it. I just felt like I had a lot to digest. What was really fun about it in a way that I didn't feel about Folklore Evermore. Folklore and Evermore, as everybody who's familiar with Taylor Swift knows by now, those are concept albums. They are not 100%, but the vast majority of the songs and the people talked about and the situations talked about are fictional. So this has a Folklore Evermore vibe where it's instrumental, super poetic, confessional writing, but it's actually about her life. If you want to go down those rabbit holes, there's just a lot to unpack and a lot to digest. And it was a really sad album. It was very sad, very moody, brought up a lot of feelings in me too, that kind of set me back on my heels a little bit. I had a lot of attention on just digesting this work, which is really cool. I've been in a bit of a music drought lately, and a bit of just content drought in general. I feel other than Dune 2, there really hasn't been anything that's captured my imagination. So for those of you who are into Tortured Poets or have listened to it, my fave songs off that album are But Daddy I Love Him. I freaking love that song. That is my personal song of the summer. Guilty as Sin low-key changed my life. That's a song that if I were to ever talk to her, I think that would be one of the first songs I bring up. And that was something else where I felt not to get kind of out there. All my friends have heard this rant so many times, but I feel T Swift and I have been, unbeknownst to me, meeting in the astral plane, and I guess having heart-to-heart discussions, and that has been a lot of cannon fodder for this album because it so closely mimics my life and certain events in my life to an eerie degree. Especially when we get to Florida, I started to spaz a little bit, which is also a song I really enjoy. I like Fortnite. I really like the anthology, that second album, the Black Dog, Cassandra, Prophecy, and I really like High School, the Travis Kelce song. But I like how happy it is, and I like kind of the 90s rom-com sound to it. It's sweet, and considering the rest of this album is just so dark and really sad. And I would say that was like part of what gave me such a strong reaction to it, was this public figure. This last year, you know, she's just been in the eye so much with the Eras Tour. And then if you watch football, which I did last year, and if you're a Chiefs fan, which I am, so you're just like seeing her everywhere, and she seems to be living this like very, I mean, extravagant pop star life. I'm sure like a dream life for someone who's into music and performing and singing live. And then to have this album that's like, actually, I've been miserable, I'm brokenhearted, I'm depressed. It was just such a surprising turn that it would be a breakup album. I didn't know it was gonna be a Maddie Healy breakup album. That threw me for a freaking loop. She talks about death a lot. That also is kind of like taken me back a little bit. Like this person, again, who seems to be living like a very, and kind of like a, you know, big pop star, public face, and then just constantly talking about like death and dying and wanting to die, feeling like she's dying. It's just such a disconnect from what she's portraying, but like a really interesting one, a very, in a lot of ways, human one. So that's just been a whole like taking up a lot of brain space. Now it's like chilled out for me a little bit, a lot of it. But for a while there, I was like, I just could not think of anything else because it was so fascinating. I might as well talk to you guys about the book I'm reading right now, this hunkamunka, The Priory of the Orange Tree. This was sent to me actually by a subscriber. You know who you are. You sent it a while ago too. I'm kind of an asshole for taking so long to get to it, but you know, about 100 pages in right now. I have a friend who read this and the prequel book that came out to it. Loved them both. And yeah, I just know there's a lot of positive hype around it. And so far, I'm like thoroughly entertained. There's a lot of families, a lot of locations, a lot of politics. It deserves to be as big as Game of Thrones. And it does kind of have a Game of Thrones vibe because there's just so much political intrigue and there just seems to be a lot of schemes on top of schemes. But there's a lot more like overt fantasy in it because like you meet the dragons right away. I was listening to Torture Poets pretty heavy for the last few weeks, so I was not listening to my audiobook, but I'm back at it and I just got into part 2 of the third Crescent City book. I always, the like little titles, I can't remember, what is this, Blood and Ash or something? It's the third one in the Crescent City series, the Court of Thorns and Roses crossover. That part I love, although we just got out of that, entering into part 2, and I'm like, no, go back. I hope we go back. And I will say, I think out of the Sarah J. Maas heroines, Bryce Quinlan is, I don't dislike her, but she's certainly not my favorite, and part of that is by the sheer amount that she cusses. And not to act like I'm like a dainty little lady clutching my pearls, but it's just kind of abrasive. And she's supposed to be this like epic heroine that's like super smart, super kind, but there's just kind of this weird disconnect because she's so snarky, she's such an asshole, and she cusses constantly. It just feels immature. It feels like the protagonist is like this bratty 13-year-old girl cosplaying as like a grown woman. Grates on me occasionally, and I tell you what too, since I'm in it, spoilers maybe. I'm only on part 2, so I'm not sure how much I'm spoiling, but if you don't want to know anything about the third Crescent City book, then spoilers. I am real sick of the hunt and room torture scene going on for so freaking long too. I am very sick of that. I get it, I get it. This is how I feel about torture scenes in general. It's like, I just need a little bit for me to be like, yikes. But Sarah J. Maas just loves an extended chapter-long torture scene. That's how it was in Throne of Glass in the last book of that, what is it, Kingdom of Ash. She just loves to write her debauched torture, I guess. As for my writing, I am like steadily making my way through editing my manuscript. There is a group that I joined that I saw randomly on Facebook I'm not a big Facebooker, so it was such a like, you know, stars aligning for me to even see this post. Somebody who has what she calls like the Creative Cafe, and it's a Zoom meeting or a Google meeting where you just like pop on and she puts out the times and you all just like work together on your writing or whatever creative project you're working on. But she does it like 5 days a week, and that has been huge for me. I have made so much progress utilizing this creative cafe. So I'll talk to her and see if eventually I can like say what it is and potentially even how to join. I'm not trying to gatekeep for this from you. I haven't even told her I have a YouTube channel, so I don't know. I feel like that's something that I should discuss first before putting out in the public, but it has been so immensely helpful with my own progress and just getting stuff done. So I just feel like I'm making leaps and bounds in this editing. This is gonna be a short little thing. I have to get back to editing. Thank you so much for watching and for being patient with me, and I will go back to posting once a week. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.